Alrighty, so happy Tuesday, everybody. And before I get started into the Eagles Saints recap, obviously, you guys follow the football world already know what happened last night on Monday Night Football between the Cincinnati Bengals and Buffalo Bills. So we know that in the first quarter, second-year Bills defensive player Damar Hamlin made a tackle on T. Higgins. And we know after he got up, he collapsed on the field. And now we know he had a heart attack on the field. It was a big enough deal, and it was a serious enough situation as to where the players and coaches decided they weren't going to go through with the rest of the game. They just decided, forget about it. We're just going to postpone the game for another time. So, but I mean, football, man, we know football is a dangerous sport. We know that injuries can happen, but you don't see stuff like that every football game. You don't. I mean, we've seen our injuries. We've seen our share of serious injuries, but something along those lines right there, of someone having a heart attack on the field, going into cardiac arrest, and concerns that they might be dead. And speaking of that, yesterday, I even got one of my buddies sent me a text message saying, hey, somebody died on the football field. I'm like, what? I looked at it and I see what happened. I'm like, then I saw the scene. All the players gathered around kneeling down, and because it was such a serious scene, some people automatically thought he was dead. That's how serious this was. So it was like one of those, are you serious? I mean, at first I even thought he was dead until it was confirmed that he was in critical condition, meaning that he was at least still alive but I even thought at first he was dead too. I was ready to come on here and talk about it that way, but I mean, obviously he's still in serious condition. We're hoping that he's going to make a recovery and at least still be able to live. I mean, we still don't know if he's going to survive or not, which we all hope he does right there. And we could obviously, Damar Hamlin's in our thoughts and prayers. We're hoping he's okay. As far as them suspending the game goes, I get it. Now, obviously football, injuries are accepted. Normally, most times when injury happens, you continue the game. Sure, there might be a minute or two when players down that all the players gather around, like an Alex Smith situation. But you don't expect something like that to happen. Someone goes into cardiac arrest on the football field. I mean, and it made sense to stop the game because the players clearly had no desire to go out there and play after that. Clearly, after they saw what just happened right there, and clearly plenty of players, both players for the Buffalo Bills, of course, and even the Cincinnati Bengals, they didn't really want to go out there and play after that. They were, you could clearly tell. And for the fans, obviously a lot of them left and they were gathered outside the hospital at the University of Cincinnati Medical Center. So they didn't even want to see the game continue at that point. So I don't see what would have been the real point at that point. It would not have felt right at all to continue that game. So it was the right thing to do in this case to stop the game. It's one of those rare instances something like that happens, but it does happen. So obviously I'll keep up to see what's going on with the news and what the reports are in Damar Hamlin's condition. As of right now, he's still listed in critical condition at the University of Cincinnati Medical Center, and see what happens from there. And I did drop a short on my channel roasting Skip Bayless for his tweet and saluting Shannon Sharp for not showing up. So we'll keep an eye on that and get more to that. But there is still a main subject I came here to talk about. Let's get into it. Philadelphia Eagles, New Orleans Saints, Week 17 recap. So I'll say this 6 minutes in. Welcome to the Eagles versus Saints Week 17 recap with Nicky Stees. So make sure to drop a like on both and subscribe to the Hardcore Sports Network. So, yeah, I'm not going to sound like my usual self in this one because really after last night, I'm burnt out on football for the day. I mean, I already scheduled this in advance, so I just decided, what, I'll come through, do this, I'll talk about it, and you get my thoughts on the game, and just go from there. So as far as the Eagles and Saints, I mean, I started yesterday with a short on my channel. I'll actually clipped it. I'm going to show it for you guys. Is there any explanation for yesterday at all? Does Gardner Minshew suck that badly? Were the Eagles up partying on New Year's Eve into the early hours of New Year's Day? Was it rigged so home field could still be on the line week 18? Like, is the offensive line that bad without Lane Johnson? I mean, is it a combination of some of the things I just said? Yeah, you heard that right there. So that's the short I dropped right there. The rest, I was just saying, look, I'll come back tomorrow and give a more in-depth recap, and that's what I'm doing right now. So let's get to it. Seriously, man, you laid an egg against the Saints. I mean, seriously, you had obviously Lane Johnson not being there on the offensive line. It did have an effect on the offensive line. Yes, that is true. However, that shouldn't have cost us the game. It shouldn't have. Okay, you have Gardner Minshew made some absolutely terrible throws. He had cute overthrows that were just. Of course, the pick six at the end that sealed the game. I mean, and the play calling was atrocious too. I mean, why were we going more pass happy? Clearly, it wasn't working in this situation. Why didn't we adjust? I've been noticing something recently. Shane Steichen, Nick Sirianni, the play calling. They started to develop back into it feels like they're developing back into their bad habits from last year of trying to force the pass. I've started noticing that in the past 3 weeks. I've noticed that. You go back to the Bears game, right? Remember the Bears game? We were trying to force the pass a little bit. And I was the one saying, they'll try to run the ball a little bit more. And I was pushing for that then. And now we saw that on Sunday too. We only ran the ball 12 times with Miles Sanders. Really? We couldn't have tried to run the ball more with him? I mean, seriously, it's looking like it's looking like last year all over again. We were complaining about them running the ball not running the ball enough. They need to run the ball more. And I'm seeing that. I saw that again on Sunday. Only 12 carries. Why? You're afraid he's going to fumble? Dude, I know that, but come on. The passing game isn't working. You have to at least try better to adjust and run the ball. Because clearly Gardner Minshew isn't that guy set for this system here passing the ball. Okay? He is not. I emphasize again, he is not. Jalen Hurts, okay? He's not the guy who can make those plays like that. Gardner Minshew is a streaky quarterback at best. Okay, yeah, he put up a decent performance against the Cowboys, yes. But here against the Saints, he was terrible. He was. He looked horrible, okay? He did not look like he had any business being on the field in this game against the Saints. So, yeah, apparently he's a streaky quarterback. So we should have adjusted our playbook for this game right here. And that's just absolutely ridiculous right there. It's just, you saw how bad it was with Minshew. We didn't get a first down until late in the first half, okay? We didn't get a first down till then. Okay, it's ridiculous right there. I know some people are still mad about that penalty call against Landon Dickerson when that touchdown run was called back and it led to us having to settle for a field goal at the end of the half. Yeah, that was ridiculous. That should not have been a penalty against Landon Dickerson. Even the announcers, the play-by-play color commentators for TV, who are supposed to say neutral, even they called it out and said that was a ridiculous penalty. So, yeah, that was ridiculous. But that's not an excuse right there. Sure, now if they didn't make that ridiculous call, okay, we could have gotten a touchdown out of it. Could have made a difference in the outcome? Possibly. But we're not just going to blame it on that. I'm not going to take this narrow-minded assessment and blame the loss on one penalty call or one bad throw or one injury. I'm not doing that. No. This is a team game right here. The team failed right here, mainly on the offensive side of the ball. Because, I mean, defensive-wise, we held them to 13 points right there. But even then, we had some flaws too, which I'll get to that in a second. But as far as the offense goes, Jesus Christ, we could have at least tried to run the ball a little bit more. Maybe tried to run the ball to the outside a little bit, pitch it to the left a little bit. At least try to see what Miles Sanders could make happen that way. We should have tried that. Maybe try to get a few more halfback screens thrown into the passing game. Something that could actually have helped us in this game. That helped us win this game right here. But we didn't do any of that. It's just, it boggles my mind. Like, why? Why didn't we do that? There's no good reason for that. I mean, obviously, I know Jalen Hurts isn't there, but you have to adjust. It didn't look like we even tried to adjust at all. It didn't even look like we tried to make necessary adjustments. We realized, hey, we don't have Jalen Hurts. We got to do it differently. We can't go the way we've been doing it with Hurts. That's not going to work here. We have to adjust for this game against the Saints. And we didn't do that. I even suggested in the preview, hey, let's try to run the ball on the outside a little bit. Let's, maybe do some screen passes, all right? Try to change it up a little bit. Suit the offense to our strengths right here. We have one of the top running games in the league. But one of the reasons I suggested we pitch it to the outside a few times is because, you get away from that, having to run up the middle without Lane Johnson being there to protect you. I get, so that's why I suggested, but it's like, come on, man. You got to adjust in this league. You have to adjust to the situation, make game planning adjustments. It's not an excuse. Injuries are not an excuse. Remember 2017 run with the Super Bowl? Yes. We had injuries there that we didn't let that stop us from winning it all there. That history shows it's not an excuse. It is not an excuse for being defeated. It's just absolutely ridiculous. Oh, and and Gardner Minshew did. And he had several key overthrows. He had that interception, of course. Now, he did get sacked 6 times. That is in part due to the offensive line. Yes, that is that. But as a whole, this is just a bad team effort, like I've been pointing to. You have several key things you can point to. I mean, the coaching's starting to look a little shaky again, kind of like it was last year. I mean, but at least last year with Nick Sirianni to be the first-year head coach, you could say at least he got the benefit of the doubt when we made that switch late in the season, started to become more of a run team. You could say, okay, we made some adjustments there. So it looks like, we say we learned along the way, right? So I could see that. So we could give him the benefit of the doubt for that. But this year, with all the talent we have around us, and now you see you don't have Jalen Hurts there to help us out, you could see the coaching didn't exactly do a good job adjusting. So now I have to start questioning Nick Sirianni's credentials as a head coach. I have to question Shane Steichen and even Jonathan Gannon to some degree because the defense, I'll get to it right now. The defense is absolutely terrible in this game. It was absolutely terrible, atrocious. Okay, I'm actually being going too hard, but the pass defense was bad, okay? Because defending against the pass was atrocious. Because Andy Dalton, 18 for 22, 204 yards? Like, come on, man. You got to tell me we can't do better than that? You mean to tell me we can't do better than that? Seriously? Come on. We got to do better. We can definitely do better than that, man. Like, what? I don't get it at all. I really don't get it at all. Why that's the case. I really don't understand right there why that happened. Absolutely mind-boggling right there. I mean, what happened? You got Darius Slay in there. Come on, what's happened there? It just don't seem right with there. Darius Slay in recent weeks, I don't know, man. He's fallen off the wagon a little bit, so to say. Or what's a better terminology? His performance has started to drop a little bit. Did the Pro Bowl not get to his head? Did he start letting that get to his head? Is that what happened? He figured, oh, I'm a Pro Bowler. Yeah. I'm already ahead of the game curve. Did he stop working as hard right there and that happened? I mean, what? There. I mean, the defense wasn't completely atrocious, though. I mean, the main thing was the pass defense struggle. I mean, Taysom Hill, what? Taysom Hill had a decent game there. I mean, Taysom Hill was turning back the clock a little bit to the, about 3-4 years when he was relevant. That's what it felt like right there watching this. And so, yeah, there were some flaws on defense. But outside of that, it wasn't terrible. We did an all right job. We shut them down to 13 points. So The defense was okay. And we do have one good thing that came out of this, and it came from the defensive side of the ball. This Eagles team broke the franchise record for most sacks recorded by their defense in a regular season. So one good thing came out of this game right here. So props to the Eagles defense for making that happen. So we got that one good thing come out of this right here. So I salute the Eagles defense for that right there. It's just, I don't know, man. I mean, so that's good right there. But the offense, man, what was that? And clearly the one sign that came from this the most, the biggest thing to take away from this is obviously we need Jalen Hurts, okay? We need him back, okay? Because clearly this offense isn't the same without him. That's clearly the case right there, all right? Jalen Hurts, clearly he makes the plays better than Gardner Minshew, and he's clearly a better thrower than Minshew for sure. And there's a reason he was in MVP contention, and there's a reason Minshew is the backup quarterback. Ultimately, because he's a streaky quarterback. He's not a guy you can consistently rely on to start for a team. That's why the Jaguars didn't stick with him. That's why they tanked in 2019 for Trevor Lawrence. Okay, because if Gardner Minshew was that dude, he'd still be there in Jacksonville, and Trevor Lawrence would be elsewhere right now. Okay, so hence the reason Jalen Hurts is still was the starter, and is the starter, and he's in MVP contention because he was making those big plays right there. Seemed like every week Jalen Hurts was always doing something impressive. He was hitting A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith in stride. Okay, yes, and he was improving his mechanics as a passer, and he's certainly the team's MVP. That is for sure. For sure, he is the team's MVP. So Jalen Hurts, he got that part down right there. He is he's the Philadelphia Eagles team MVP, and we clearly see without him how much different this team looks. It's obvious. We need him for the playoffs, and if we want home field advantage, being that, hey, look, if you got home field advantage, that's the only team that's going to get a bye in your conference. Now that that's the case, obviously it's more important now to get home field advantage in the final week of the regular season than it was in past years. Because, it's not the old 6-team format where the second team gets the bye. No, you get home field advantage, you get a bye, or you got to play 3 rounds and make it to the Super Bowl. And if we want that first round bye, well, obviously, hey, we need to get home field advantage, so we need to start Hurts because we need him to help us out to beat the Giants again and clinch home field advantage for the playoffs. And it looks like as of now, they're saying he's likely to start Sunday, but they were saying the same thing around this time last week. And look what happened. So I'm not going to buy into that yet. But we do need him on Sunday to beat the Giants. And I'll get more in depth with that tomorrow, because tomorrow at 1, I'm going to be doing an Eagles-Giants preview. So you'll want to tune in for that. I'll also share it, and you guys can come in for that. So, so I'll get more into Jalen Hurts and why he's needed against the Giants tomorrow. But when you compare and contrast what Jalen Hurts was doing throughout the season to what Gardner Minshew did, sloppy throws, overthrowing receivers, just had that terrible pick. I mean, we couldn't get a first down until late in the second half. I mean, clearly it's obvious that Jalen Hurts was doing far better, because even when we lost to Washington, Jalen Hurts certainly played better. He certainly had some good moments. I mean, still he had some down moments in that game too, of course. And he wasn't perfect in that game. And I believe he certainly knows he wasn't perfect in that game. But even then, we looked better in that one loss we had with Hurts on Monday night against Washington than we did on Sunday with Gardner Minshew. I mean, clearly Jalen Hurts the better guy. And at least with Hurts, even though I don't want him running too much, at least with him being mobile, he can at least move and get away from the blitz better than Gardner Minshew can. Because with Minshew being a pocket QB, he doesn't have that elusiveness to get out of the way and avoid the blitz like Hurts does. And because that, Hurts got dropped a lot less throughout the season. So that's one thing that certainly plays a factor right there. Just obviously everything. You can just look at this one game right here with Gardner Minshew. Look at any of the games. Look at how we did against the Vikings passing the ball. Look at how we did it first time against the Commanders. against the Steelers. Look at how we did against the Packers. You compare those games with Jalen Hurts offensively versus the offensive performance against the Saints, and you can clearly see a big difference right here. Hell, you can even go back to the Cowboys game the second time around with Minshew on Christmas Eve in Week 16, and you can see a difference there between Gardner Minshew and Jalen Hurts. So clearly, man, obviously we need Jalen Hurts back. He's clearly the MVP. He's the most valuable guy. The coaching staff, now you're back on my radar again on whether I'm starting to lean more toward it's Jalen Hurts and it's the talent than it is the coaching staff. So that's where I'm leaning to right now with this. Okay? So, yeah, that's really all I got to say right there about this, man. And like I said, I'm real burnt out from football, so I might not have sounded the same that I normally do talking about this, but hey, that's just the way it is. So, yeah, that's really all I got to say about this right here. And again, prayers up for DeMar Hamlin. Hope he makes a recovery. And I'm going to take that part and clip it into a separate video for people who didn't catch this that want to see my thoughts on that. And I might clip the part about Jalen Hurts being the MVP of the team at the end as well. So that's all I got to say for now. Thank you to everyone that came through. I know it wasn't as much as it usually is. It wasn't as fun as some of the ones in the past, but that's just the way it is. So thank you to everyone that tuned in. So we got to rebound from this. I'll be back to talk about the Giants game tomorrow. Until Fly Eagles fly. Until next time, Snicky Steez signing off.